Hello, everyone. Now, welcome back to another one of our live streams. We're sitting here. Sorry for the confusion, by the way, everyone. We're actually sitting here in lovely LTAR, Lima Tango Alpha Romeo, and we're going to be traveling to Lima Tango Bravo Alpha. We're way out here in eastern central Turkey. This is Sivas, and we're going to be headed into Istanbul. Normally, I start these things on time, but I had to start kind of early today. And the reason being is we have this beautiful Airbus A310 just waiting for us to get cruising along here. And it's got a bit of a setup time. So we're hoping to get in the air right on my scheduled, like I said, about 11 o'clock or so when we actually get in the air. But before then, we've got a lot of buttons to push and like handles to pull and all that other stuff to kind of get this thing rolling. So we're going to get to it, and then we're going to kind of go from there, as they say. The interesting thing here is we do have some external power, but that is okay. APU start. All right, cool. Give that thing a few minutes to kind of kick in and do its little piece there. And then we can get the FMS powered, and then, of course, we got to go over here. We got to go this stuff. There's quite a process in this aircraft. I don't hate it because, again, I like doing things like this because it's, it's why we fly. We do it because it's challenging. We don't do it because it's easy, kind of a thing like that. Looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. So we can check the live there. We've got a lot of work to do to get this thing started. So, like I said, I'm going to kind of get started early here just for the purposes of kind of getting ready. All right. It is such a neat plane. It's I have a lot of nice things to say about this plane, but it does take a minute to get started up. I will definitely say that part. Yeah, we're just waiting for the starter on my air little guy to kind of get caught on. Of course, we could flip over to external power for a minute. There we go. And that's going to get those pumps going for us, which we're going to need in a minute. And this guy's going to take a minute to get going anyway. No rush. And I'm going to go flip the switch so we can get some heat in here because it is a little chilly today. All right, let's go. While that's getting going here, I'm going to go kind of float up here and start hitting all the switches that you need to hit. There's so many different things on this. And like I said, I like airplanes like this because it's just those transitional years when these are like TVs and those are just conventional airline instruments that they just sort of grabbed off of something to kind of get going. And just, I don't know, it's kind of fun, Oh boy, we got a lot of numbers to punch in here. So let's go ahead and do that. Align IRS. Okay, fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to be traveling, like I said, for a Lima Tango Alpha Romeo here. Again, sorry for the confusion, everybody. We had a completely different destination originally, and it was in Russia. And then I had a conversation with somebody, and then I changed my mind. You could probably imagine why. Let's see, Lima Tango Alpha Bravo. Lima Tango Alpha Bravo is going to be my other option here. We're going to do there. I've got no company route on this one. That's okay. Flight out. I always like to do, we're not air flight. We're PA, PAA 100, because PA is... These are the folks I always think of when I think of flying, of course. All right, let's get all these numbers punched in so I can start popping that in. Block today is going to be 44.7. 44.7. This is not a tutorial or anything. This is just going through the motions, as they say. ZFW today is 221.4. 221.4. We're going to go ahead and pop that into ZFW. It should calculate automatically. The zero fuel is 31.6. Center of gravity, we're a little tail heavy, but that's no big deal for us. I'll pop that in there. I think we're done here. This is good. Flight level today is going to be 360. I'm going to go punch that in right away. Delightful. That's all set. Good. That was the easy part. And of course, you can go next page, and it's going to bring all this. But honestly, this is where the fun starts. And I got to get this thing all programmed and everything ready to go. We're going to take runway 1 today because it's nice and short. I'm just going to say insert, keep it nice and simple. And arriving at LTAB today, we've got a couple things along the way that I got to punch in. BAG, Bravo Alpha Golf. We're going to stop by there. From BAG, we're going to proceed direct to, I believe, what is this one called? C153R. Okay, it's not bad, actually. All right, I'm happy with that. Cool. Never mind. It was a little easier than I thought it would be. Let's go ahead and clean that one out. So we're going via BAG today. Oh, return. Sorry about that. Clear. Come on. Yes, I know. Clear that out. Cool. We're going to go to LTAB here. We're going to press star, and we're going to be arriving today. Let me see here. Tango. Oh, I did it backwards. No! I confused myself. Sorry, everybody. I'm glad I started early. Suffering from a really, really bad LTBA. Sorry. I'm such a bad person. Such a bad person. I'm sorry, everybody. LTBA. This is why we started early. Hey, it's been a while. All right. Actually, you need to press the clear button there. There we go. Sorry. Fortunately, all this stays the same. The only thing that doesn't stay the same is just got all completely spoiled. All right, we're going to do BAG. We're going to go back to LTAR here. We're going to stick with our SID. We're going to do a runway 1. Sounds good to me. Press insert there. We're going to clear out our discontinuity, and we're going to go to LTBA. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm such a bad person sometimes. There we go. I was wondering why none of the ILS approaches were approaching, and we're going to do via Wisney. That looks good to me. All right, let's go ahead and go back. Return. Return. Nothing should be broken now. Nope. We are all set. Look at that. So we're going to be taking off runway 1. We're going to proceed direct bag. Top of descent, we're going to come down to LTBA. LTBA. Sorry, everyone. LTAR, which is right outside of Istanbul. It's a little west. Got it. All right, that's all set. So now what we have to do is we have to kind of finish up our last couple buttons here. Let's see our initiation. I just want to make sure that's okay. That looks good. That looks good. This looks good. This looks good. That's good. Flight plan. I'm just going to confirm I did this correctly. This has been set. This has been set. We're going to say none to this. We're going to say insert. I'm going to check this. Check, check, check. Chickadee check. SI5. I think that's 110.30. I'm just going. We're going 0.77, which means I missed something else. 999 is my favorite thing to do, is punch in 999 for cost index. Let me show you why. 0.82 on the Mach, friends. We're going to be moving pretty quick today. All right, that's all set. So that's good to go. While I'm here, though, I'm just going to punch in my last couple frequencies. Oh, man, I could be confusing sometimes. Let's see here. 110.10, 30 rather, 1110.30. And our approach course today is going to be 54 degrees, 54 degrees. Like I said, we're going to be coming in, kind of landing northeast today. Not too bad. Going to get a nice, pretty view of the city from the eastern side, the Istanbul side, and then we're going to come swing around the other side. All right, that's all set. Just while I'm down here, I might as well hit a couple more switches. Did we ever get the APU to behave here? APU gen. See, it's on. Good. So that's that. That's set. We can actually pop off of that now because we're running off of that now. This is coming out. We should be getting some temperature. Yeah, we got pressure. APU is running smoothly. Delightful. All right, that's all set. So let's go ahead and run through my last couple buttons here. One thing I want to do is make sure my passengers are as uncomfortable as possible. Pop this to the mid cabin. It's about 25 Celsius. That's pretty uncomfortable, actually. Let me go ahead and cool that down a little bit. There we go. Actually, we don't need to touch these two. These are cargo ones. We don't have to worry about it. All right, let's give everybody a quick little heads up that we're about to start the party here. All right, this has been programmed. I like that. Oh, no, it has not. Guess what I did not do? Sloppy. I got to get used to the Airbus way of thinking again. Is that just one of those kinds of things? The runway length is that one. Our runway heading is going to be that one. Temperature is good. Refresh. Weight today, it's over here. 252.2. 252.2 is going to be our weight today. Enter. Flaps, anti-ice, flex temp calc. All right, so our flex today is 49, V1 is 138, 165. 138, 165. 165. Let's do it. 165. I told you we had to start early today. We have a lot of buttons to push before we can get this thing in the air. All right, 138, I think we said. 138, push. 138, push. Okay. Idiot check time. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to run through real fast to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I am incredibly famous, especially for airliners, because I don't have a number 2. All right, that's done. Signed. Ooh, that's important. All right, let's take care of that. Fuel quantities checked. Navigation checked and set. We can preset all this now. We're going to set this up to 36,000 feet. Gonna twist the knob fast, gonna twist it harder. Yep. All right, LTBA. Okay, come on. So one of the interesting things is, coming from flying in the real world here, is these altitude adjust knobs are actually just as bad in the real world as they are in the sim. Like, I feel like the people who designed this, like, knew how bad it was, so they actually simulated it accurately. Just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, kind of, you're a little too realistic there. All right, that's fine. We can actually turn on the flight path. It's already set. Cool. So that's set. Let's continue getting all squared away here. Landing elevation's about 80 feet. We're going to be pretty much right on the Bosphorus when we come in there. We're going to set that to auto. Looks good to me. Check. Auto brake's going to be on. We can't arm that yet because we're not running. That's going to be set. Throttle's all the way at 0. Engine 0. Fuel idle. Looks good. Check. Looks good. Manual thrust is set. We are running off of that. We need to tell them to disconnect the GPU. Go away, GPU. All right, GPU is now set. We've got all our V1s and V2s and V3s and all that stuff set. We've got this one set right here. Our numbers are good. Cross-check the weights. Cross-check the weights are perfect. Yeah, 252.2. They're both 252.2. Good to go. Let's take a look at our watch here. It's at 10:54. Looking pretty good on our side. All right, let's get this party started. Let's go ahead and shut off the 2 packs. Sorry, people in the back. It's going to get a little cold in a second. There's nothing I can do about that. All right, looks good to me. I'll go ahead and turn on the galley power. Remember, no galley power means no coffee. Let's see here. Looks good, looks good, looks good. I'm going to wait until the pressure builds up. Pressure's up. All right. I'm reaching out the window right now. I'm doing this with my hand, and they're giving me the little thumbs up, which I appreciate. I like that. Bacon light's already on. We're going to go switch on the ignition. Today is, okay, we're going to use ignition number A, starting number 2. I'll leave you for the sound effects here. You guys got to watch for his standing. Dude, my guy. No, don't get close to that. That would have been bad. All right, let's see. We're up at about 20% on the N1 meter. Click, click. Everything already clicked on that side. I missed it. That's one of my favorite parts. N2 is looking good. We got fuel flow. We got ignition. Everybody's looking lovely. All right, number 1 starting. Starting valve open. Here we go. Ignition, fuel flow, N1 and N2 rising. All right, there it goes. That's my favorite part when it's right there. And everything flickers on you. Love it. I love how it tells you exactly what to do if something goes wrong. Like, what a great feature for an airplane to have. I think that's awesome. All right, APU's coming off. 2 packs are coming back on. We're going to get our window nice and softened in case we bump into something on the way up. We're going to cut off the APU generator, and it's going to yell at us, and we're going to pop off the master switch. Ignition comes to the off position. All right, well, one last check for any angry lights. One thing that Airbus does well is they let you know when you've messed up. All right, looks good, looks good, looks good. All righty, let's go ahead and pop on our nose light just to give everybody a heads up that we're about to get rolling here. We should probably put on our little strobe there just to give everybody a heads up. Electrical generator 2, we have a transient fault. Oh, that's fine. Oh, I shut it off intentionally because, I mean, you can leave it on. Like, nothing bad will happen if I lay it on, kind of a thing like that. All right, one last check of all the switches. Switches are good. I would like to go ahead and give this thing a quick test. We'll test system 2 here because we do have some terrain to worry about today. Test looks good. All right, we're going to leave that off. We're going to pop it over to map mode in a second. We're going to give it a 2-degree downhill tilt, just like that. All right, let's finish up arming everybody here. Speed brakes get armed. Our automatic brakes get armed. We're going to set 15 degrees of flaps, and we're going to wait for the flaps to get into position, and then we're going to do our takeoff test. In the meanwhile, let's start making our way over to the runway. Uh-oh. You didn't learn your lesson the first time. Nice. Welcome, the Codifier. Welcome, Simon. Welcome, Laugh-O-Raw. Great to see all of you all. The turning radius on this thing is insanity. I love it. And yes, my engine's... this is the one time I ever get to use split thrust. Love the engine, Zoyan. These things are so much fun to fly. One of the things I tried earlier was to actually take this thing out on the runway and actually kind of back up kind of a thing. Good evening, Laugh-O-Raw. Great to see everybody again, by the way. I wasn't sure if we were going to get to a live stream this weekend. That's why we did things on Sunday as opposed to doing things on a more conventional Saturday. It was kind of one of the situations where this was, oh, SDO's here too. Hey, SDO. Great to see everybody. so much fun one of these days. We got to put like a little convention together in Vegas or something where we just get everybody with like little laptops and just fly together or something. We've been flying together for 3 years now, almost 4 years now. Imagine that. We're going to be hitting our 5th year coming up in a little while. And that's just so fascinating. I'm definitely going to use the full runway, by the way, here. I'm not gonna cheat. $10 super chat if I do donuts on the runway. Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to see some power donuts? £10 super chat to do donuts. I don't know. 10 pounds is that's a pretty yummy coffee there. Of course, before I do something that stupid as I do power donuts, I feel so naughty taking somebody's money to do donuts here. But you know what? It's a nice airplane. It'd be a shame if we didn't test its wheel capacities a little bit. All right, so let's go take it over to the end here, where we have a little bit more room to do some power donuts here. How much do you want to bake a bets? I got my own internal bets here. Thank you, Simon, for backing up there. All right, how tightly can an Airbus A310 pull? Let's find out in a second here. All right, ready for this? Here we go. Punch it. Oh, yeah. Work it. Work it. Oh, yeah. They see me rolling. Oh, yeah. Power donuts with Airbus. Here we go. Yeehaw! Woohoo! All right, one more for victory here. All the passengers are like, ah! And screaming in the back. It's off. No, I didn't turn the brake fan on. Okay, that was fun. Now I'm dizzy. You're welcome, Edmund. I gotta do another video on that. There's a lot of updates on it. All right, I'll stop. Oh boy, dizzy now. All right, let's get ready for takeoff here. All right, let's do it. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, Edmund. Glad to hear that. Okay, now I'm way off whack and I'm all dizzy. That's probably not a good combo. All right, so one of the fun things you have to do here is we have to come over here and we have to take off test. I did it right this time. All right, let's do it. Let's see here. Original takeoff time was 11 o'clock. It's 11:02. We did fine. Here we go. I love that growl. Love that sound. Positive rate. You're up. One thing I like about the new Airbuses is the fact they do a lot of this bit for you. Yeah. All right. Oh man, I've been flying a lot of World War II airplanes recently, a lot. I've actually got a neat little series in DCS we're going to be seeing in a little while with a bunch of old planes. And of course, having flown those planes so much recently, when I finally get the opportunity to like fly planes that don't need as much rudder, it's like, too much rudder. Just kind of one of those things. All right, we'll get profile mode, we'll get nav mode. We're going to enjoy my nice left turn here, and we'll start heading towards our destination. One thing I learned about older airliners is you really got to fly the first half of the flight by yourself. You really can't go jumping on the autopilot. You can, but especially for things like turns like this, it's just so much easier to just do it yourself. I also appreciate the fact that just now the flight director's catching up to the maneuver I'm already taking. Hey there, flight director. Where have you been, my friend? Oh, there he is. How you doing, buddy? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So you've been hanging out. Okay. Where were you when I took off? Uh-huh. Sure. Autopilot on. 10,000 feet. That'll do it. And yes, I only turned one landing light off like a naughty person there. Ah! All right. Auto throttle on. Ah! Here's one of the tricks I learned. I tap escape, I pull my throttle back, and go back into the game. If you're wondering why I did that, it's because this throttle is doing its own thing now, and my throttle will fight with that throttle. So it's just much easier. Just pop that thing in there and just let it do its thing. And we're on our way, just like that. Awesome. All right, folks, we're making our way to Istanbul. Now that I've completely gotten us terribly lost here. Of course, what did I not do? I did not turn on the terrain radar. Got to go find it, kind of a thing like that. Where's my button? Click. I should have had this on like the entire flight. Well, there's no terrain. I guess I won't worry about it. Of course, the turbulence mode on this thing is like useless. Of course, you can crank up the gain really high in the real one and have all sorts of fun. And I don't know, it's dumb stuff like that I just really enjoy. All right, we're in the air now. Let's go ahead and run through our after takeoffs and all that stuff and kind of do it properly, as they say. Let's see here. Airbus A310 after start, before takeoff. We did all that. Anti-ice as required. After takeoff. Slats and flaps retracted. Checked. Landing gear up in neutral. We're not... No, I'm not touching that handle. If I push this, is it going to... Okay, it's neutral. Whew. Scared me. All right, up in neutral. Packs should be on. Packs should be on. Packs are on. I left them on during takeoff because I was a bad person. Altimeter should be set both. 13,580, 13,580 cross-checked. Altimeter's set. All right. Delightful. All right, folks. This is great news. We're on our way once again. Oh, these coordinate like that? I did not know this. So if I push this button, does it shut them both off? Yes, it does. All right, on the way. All right, 14,000. I got to run through my little things here. This is an old airplane. You have to I love these old clicky-clacky DMEs. It's so much more satisfying. All right, that looks good. That looks good. We got a positive rate. We got a nice new one, which is nice. Okay, that guy's good. That guy's good. I really should have started this as soon as we got in the air. Should have gone like that, but oh well. What do you got to do? There's usually a button up here on Airbuses that you can do. I love how there's a toga button up here on the left rather than on the throttle. That's so cool. Anti-skid, all the auto brakes are off. We got to reset this guy. Click. We don't need that to be armed anymore. Pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good. There's nothing in the brakes, which is good. That means they're not working. This has been set correctly. Outside temperature's 14, 102.5 automatic. Check, check. Oh, look at this detail. The two engines don't move in sync with each other. Thank you, creators of this aircraft. You got that correct. In the real world, these wouldn't even be, not that they'd be like 1.0 off or anything, but they're never the same. And these numbers are never the same, and these never are the same either. So it's actually kind of neat to see my right engine is burning slightly less fuel than my left engine. And I love that detail. That's so cool. And then, of course, you can see this different fuel. Remember how we started on the right engine first? Isn't that neat? Let's see here. Coming down here. Quartz, fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and make our way down the middle. This is on auto. Thrust, we should be on climb mode. We're on climb mode. Brake lever's neutral. Brake fan, I can turn that on. Don't need that. Not worried about it. Notice, by the way, that I did not get the super chats. That was the bet that I made with my wife who's watching. All right, so we did that bet. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Oh, I forgot to turn this on. Oh, well. My bad. All right, coming over here. That looks good to me, too. Let's go take a look up overhead and make sure there's nothing wrong. This guy's working fine. We'll go take a look at the other systems. They're all agreeing with each other. The INS would never agree with each other across. Their status looks good to me. Present position. And since this is a good way to check it, you check the ground speed and they'll be slightly different. They're not, but that's okay. Flight recorder's fine. Speed control, hydraulic, everything's in the green. Looks good. Calls are good. Seatbelts is good. All that stuff is good. I should look out the window once in a while. Looks good to me. All right, making our way down here. Electric. Looks good. All set. Power's on. Lights, we got that set correctly. We probably should have that turned on as soon as we hit the runway. Looks good. Fuel's going good. Everybody's flowing nicely. We could technically shut that one off. This is off. Master switch, APU is good. High pressure is good. Low pressure is good. Probe heat is good. Cabin pressure, it's coming up nicely. We're mostly closed. VS control, don't need that today. We're on system 1. Nice. Let's see here. This is the fun part. Temperature. How can I make it a little less comfortable for my passengers? So the, let's see here. The CRT will come down to the cargo. It's pretty warm. It does not need to be that warm down there. Let's see here. My aft cabin right now is 24. That still seems a little warm to me. Maybe it's just me. Coming up here, mid's fine, forward sign, cockpit, it's fine. You can see the duct opening up slightly. Just love that detail. And of course, we have plenty of pressure, cross feeds on, and we're good to go. Wonderful. So welcome to Turkey, everybody. Turkey is a really, really neat country. It is a very large country with a very, very long history. A lot of really, really neat people coming and going, many, many different rulers. Culturally, it is much more diverse than, when people think, oh, think of somebody from Turkey, kind of a thing like that. But one of the things I learned, of course, growing up is that it isn't homogenous and it's very diverse. And there's different regions with different people with different needs and different histories and everything. And trying to think of the city dwellers where we're going versus, the country dwellers, it's just like in the United States where you have kind of that sort of dichotomy between the two. And it's just one of those oversimplifications. It's just so fascinating sometimes. One of the cool things, of course, is one of my best friends travels to Turkey every few years, basically for the purposes of visiting family, going way, way, way back. And he says his favorite part of visiting Turkey, other than the just everything, is he loves the coffee. It's just sort of one of those things that you don't think of. I don't think Turkish coffee, but apparently, you got to stay up to do all sorts of different things. You might as well get something that can really, 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 really keep you up. It's one of those opportunities. I've never had the chance to do it yet, so I'm kind of hoping one of these days. All right, sweet. All right, second item. I apologize, everybody, by the way, for the confusion of the different airports. As I was saying during our pre-stream, pre-show kind of a thing like that, one of the challenges I was facing was I originally wanted to go up to Sheremetyevo and go up to Petersburg, and then for obvious reasons I decided not to. And then I decided to come check out Turkey. So I had this airport on one list, then SkyVector had a different one. Then I typed it in wrong. Then I typed it in wrong a second time. Then I typed it in wrong a third time after Simon basically called us out on it not being a real airport. Kind of a thing like that. See, Rick knows. That's what I heard. I've never had it before. Not that I'm not a big coffee drinker. I have 1 cup of coffee per day. The only exception to that rule ever is if I'm in a situation where I'm having creme brulee, because creme brulee and coffee are scientifically required. You can't, if you have creme brulee with no coffee, why did you just, no, you failed. Try again. That's not how that works. But that's the only other time I have coffee in a day. I do like my tea, and I've talked about tea before. One of these days, I'll take us on a tour of Connecticut, general aviation style, and kind of talk about all the things I do. But there's a really neat tea place to us. Oh, that's awesome. Now, one of the fascinating things, of course, with Turkey, now that we're kind of in this region here, I got to say hi to everybody, by the way. Hi. Oh, STO. Sorry, I missed you. How you doing? But one of the cool things with Turkey, of course, is just how many religions basically collided with Istanbul, which was Constantinople, kind of a thing like that. And it's just such an amazing, overwhelming on the senses kind of a place. I think of big city, I think of going down to New York, kind of a thing like that, and walking down the street and catching a cab or taking the sub. You get to Istanbul, or again, was Constantinople, making the joke for the Animaniacs lovers out there. It's just so much, and every time I look at videos of it, or they have some great VR tours where you can go through the city and stuff, and they've got the bridges leading to our Black Sea, which is basically just north of us, kind of a thing like that. It's so fascinating, so beautiful, and definitely something I'd love to check out in person someday. Here we go. One thing I'm interested about real quick, just kind of walking through, pushing my buttons here. All right, 351, it's 38 minutes travel time there. It's not too bad. All right, TKT, next page. Actually, see how bad I was on my fuel calculations. I'm just doing my airliner thing here. Final time, we only needed 4.9, 30 minutes fuel, and we're going to end up with 11.4. So I was about 6 over. So that was a pretty good, just back of my envelope sort of guess of how much fuel we need for this mission, which I actually kind of appreciate that. That wasn't terrible on my part. Fuel prediction looks good. Takeoff and approach, 3040. What's it going to be today? Flapper track 149. MDA, the approach is going to be 142. Mission. I wonder if you can put that here. I always forget. Oh, yeah, look at that. Nice. I like that. All right, go back to progress page. Flight plan. Just doing my quick little idiot checks here. I can't tell you how many times I come in here and realize that because we're an Airbus, you have to always push the button away from you in order to say, this is what I want to do. If you pull it towards you, you say, this is what I wanted to do. It's always interesting. But, No, I think we're okay. What is it, -8? Yeah, we're fine. I wonder what our fuel temperature is. Probably -30. See, my brain went to MD80 immediately and expected to pop my head up here and find the little piece there that would go ahead and tell us what our fuel temp is. Ugh, I haven't had an MD80 flight in so long, I forgot what they were like. Remember as a kid flying down to Florida, MD82s was that's what you were. MD88s, that's literally all you ever flew. All right, that looks good. That's good. I want to go play with this in a second here. Yep, see, now I've gotten everything uncomfortably cold inside the cabin. It's just warm enough that you don't want to complain, but it's not so warm that, like, you know what I mean? Like, just give me a blanket. I don't really want, I'm not going to ask for a blanket. It's just the right temperature there, kind of a thing like that. All right, let's go double check everything else real quick. One thing I love about planes like this is I have the buttons. It's pretty good. A little bit of vibration. Yeah, it's always fun when you get vibration in one engine and not the other, and you're like, uh-oh. All right, so it should be perfectly normal right now. Yeek, 174 degrees. That's warm enough. Of course, we're not pulling anything off of that. APU should be off, which it is. Hydraulics, I don't think there'll be an issue here. I love the fact everything's digital and analog on this airplane. Like, it's a perfect little combo. The cockpit has no heat. That's a problem. I wonder when this happened. Did I pull something by accident that closed the valve to the cockpit? Seems like something I would do. Did I turn this thing too far? Because the weird thing is it says that, okay, and we've got a squawk. We'll have to find out why it's not reading the cockpit temperature because I'm getting it on the other gauge. Oh, well, things happen, I guess. Let's see here. We'll go to flight controls. There should be nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. We'll go to AC. I love how AC and DC are two different settings. Notice they're not running at the same speed. That's such a great detail. I know I'm nerding out over things like this, but like this is how it is in the real world. It isn't so square and even. This should be normal. Yeah, it's perfectly normal. Now come down to doors. Obviously, it's going to be boring. There's nothing to see there. DC. I love how DC is its own page here. Yeah, that makes sense. 50 amp. Oh, that's interesting. We should go check that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Fuel temp should be on this page somewhere. What? That bothers me. I don't know. And wheels, of course, will be perfectly boring. But what I love about this, though, is if you just go to the STS button, it brings up like the kind of status, but then you can hit clear. And then if you unclear and you push the button again, look at this. It goes back to the thing you're supposed to be paying attention to right now, which I guess is pretty valuable. It's just kind of one of those things. Such a neat plane. I almost went with the 787 today, but I decided against it because this plane has this now. The reason I decided against it is we've seen a lot of 787 stuff, and although I really, really got to go back and play with it again because there's so many cool things on a 787, but that will be for another day, so I'm not going to worry about that yet. All right, we're approaching our cruise altitude here. I love how this thing like got caught, and then it sped up, and then it got caught again. Such a good detail. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm nerding out here. But things like that put a smile on my face as a real pilot because stuff does not work perfectly in the real world. It doesn't. All right, we should be going to CR, which we are. Auto mode is on. This thing just switched to 100.8. We're never going to get 100.8. That's a little fast for us. And this is the reason why I chose such a high cost index, because instead of doing 0.80, we're going to get up to 0.82, which is pretty quick. We'll be moving. We'll be moving. All right, I like that. I like that. I like that. I love it. Going back to Turkey. Now, one of my most fondest memories of Turkey, as far as, a place, kind of a thing like that, is I play tabletop RPGs, which are people who've seen my little tour of my room before. Probably you've seen all my books, and that's my physical books. You should see my digital books. It's an unhealthy obsession. And of course, we have a great tabletop store near us and all that stuff. And so let me change one thing real quick before I get myself distracted again. I just want to be able to see the pretty terrain. I mean, we took so much time getting above it. I want to look at it. So just beautiful. I love it. It's like painted landscape. So nice. So we do tabletops, and one of the ones we do is Call of Cthulhu. Oh man, the longitude. I'm waiting until 2024 before I start redoing videos, but maybe I should do a couple before then. So in Call of Cthulhu, there's this fantastic campaign called Horror on the Orient Express. Folks of you who are Call of Cthulhu fans or just interested in this, go check it out. It was probably the best campaign my tabletop group, who's been around for 10 years now, has ever played in the history of all the campaigns. And we played like 50, 60, 70 campaigns over that time. It's incredible. But one of the things you got to do is you went to Turkey and you had to recover this enchanted armor, essentially. And they did such a fantastic job of integrating all the local stuff with all kind of like the medieval stuff, with all the kind of Christian stuff, with all the modern stuff in one pile. And it was fantastic because, again, that was the last destination of the Orient Express. And the game has a great zinger in it, and I'm not going to spoil it. So for anybody who's looking for an absolutely fantastic experience at a tabletop game, go check that one out. It's great. Sorry, Lafarog. I did pick a fast one. Oh, Lima Tango Bravo Alpha today is going to be runway 5. Originally, I wanted to do tree 5, but I will take 5. I'm just going to warn everybody right now, it's a tiny runway. So when you get there, like, it's not going to be a lot of runway, but you're absolutely correct. It's runway 5 today. And the frequency for runway 5, by the way, is a 110.30, and it's going to be 054 on the course. If you're flying in the 787, I think you got to go to nav radio for that, or I think it's down here in a 78. I never remember, to be honest. I always remember when I get in the plane. It's one of those things. It's so beautiful. Just be amazing to get yourself like an ultralight plane, like a, let's say 100 knot cruise speed and like a nice summer day kind of a thing, and just go in and out of these little valleys and these places where, you know, man has been walking for thousands of years. I don't know. It's so fascinating to me. Yeah, I'm a nerd though, so what are you gonna do about it? All right, one thing I do need to know though. Progress. We're an econ cruise, 295 to destination. So we have about 36,000 times 3, that's 105, 108. So 108 nautical miles before we have to descend. So we probably should set ourselves a timer or something like that, but oh well. This is set to go, this is set to go. One thing I do want to see while I'm at it, actually. One of the things I love is we can go like this. There we go. I love this plan view because you can see your airplane. So you can see where it is. It's just kind of cool. Let me go over to our... there it is right there. Okay, good. One of the fun things, of course, because we are... isn't that so cool? One of the cool things here is when we do get to this little line here, we basically can hit our descent button. And on an Airbus, it's so satisfying. You just reach up, you set this to the new altitude, and you push forward. It's super duper handy like that. All right. Actually, speaking of which, we have to like get ready to land and stuff. I know it doesn't... I mean, we're on the ground in 25 minutes, but like I like to be prepared here. 3-degree DME, it is 110, the DME, 112.50. 112.50. All right. Not gonna be, it's gonna pick it up as soon as we get there. I'm not even gonna bother. Let's see here. Details, just kind of walk myself through it. It is a very short runway. Getting all the details for everybody. ILS Category 2, ILS Category 1, Airport, LTBA. Sorry, everyone. I'm doing my thing as I'm doing my thing here. There's 42 gates. Longest runway is the one we're not using. Sigh. That one. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, we'll have enough. We'll have enough. Oh, Rick. Oh, man. That is so funny that you brought up tabletop RPGs. My first RPG was Vampire the Masquerade, and it was the White Wolf like 1997 1998 version. That's awesome. But for those of you who don't know White Wolf games, you want to look up the author I can't speak today, I'm sorry. The author, Anne Rice. What she does is she writes these kind of gothic, modern, like, you think of like edgy vampire stuff is the best way to describe it. That's not only a thing that she wrote, but basically the people at White Wolf said, you know, I like this kind of like edgy, gothic, you know, personal horror kind of games. And they made a whole series of games based on it. There's vampire, there's werewolf, there's mage, there's changeling, there's the mortal ones. But that was actually my first RPG I ever played. You know, that's actually kind of funny. That worked out, Rick. That worked out. And then it's just interesting because I tried to play White Wolf RPGs with my group, and they just struggle with a game being so story character, like personal story driven. It was tough. Like my group, I love them to death, and I won't trade them for anything. They like to, you know, hurt things. We hate D&D, by the way, in case anybody wants to get the wrong. D&D is just not for us. There's too many plus once you start layering all the class stuff, and it gets so difficult to keep track of it. It's not fun anymore. I know some people love that, love it to death. I respect it. It is the reason so many people play D&Ds today, RPGs today. Thank you for that. But like, it's just not for me. But White Wolf is the opposite of that. You know, the battles, especially in the new generation of the games, you do 3 rounds and the fight's over. Like if the fight takes more than 15 minutes, you've done something wrong. Whereas we're playing Fantasy Flight Star Wars right now, and we had a relatively straightforward encounter with a bunch of bandits and a small little like ruins thing trying to retrieve a radio, a subspace radio. And it was like an hour and 10 minutes to basically plan it out, execute it, and almost get completely blown away, which was always kind of fun. But it's just such a different game. But I could literally spend forever talking about it. Rick, Shadowrun I know too. Shadowrun, one of these days I'll have to play that with my group. I've only got to play that one online. I'm mostly a GM. You could probably tell. It's a personality thing. GMs have a certain personality. You know what I mean if you know who you are. But Shadowrun's interesting too because there's cyberpunk for people who like cyberpunk without all the fantasy elements that you get in Shadowrun. But they're both pretty good. Both pretty good. How are we doing here? So I have an E6B, a stainless steel one right to my right. And what I like to do is I like to run up here and grab this, grab onto the wheel, and then come down here, twist it a couple times, and go, uh-oh. But the problem is with a nice modern aircraft like this, you don't even need an E6B. It'll do everything for you. Oh my gosh, I just remembered something. Oh, I like the camera, by the way. I'm drawing such a blank here. I just got passed. Beep, beep, beep. Nice. This is what one of the common problems, by the way. I'll speak aviation for half a second here. One of the big problems we have with the introduction of things like GPSs and RNAV, LNAV, and all that other really good stuff, and very, very precise, Victor Airways and Quebec Airways and all that, is this problem that you just saw. And what happens in the real world is because everybody's so darn accurate all the time, thank you, autopilot, it creates scenarios where literally you could basically run into each other if you weren't looking out the front. And where this gets really exciting, by the way, is these things happen at different altitudes. So like I'm chilling at 36 right now. Like Codifier's a little tiny bit lower than me. But what would happen is he'd be down here at 32 and I'd be at 36 and we'd be parallel to each other, except for like little changes because of wind or something like that. It's such an interesting problem that it creates. And I don't know, it fascinates me. Taking a look out the window. Why we fly, by the way, folks. Why we fly. I also love, one of the things I wish, this will never happen, but if somehow they could recreate the world back in like 1950s or 1940s. And the reason I wish that is because before that, it just wasn't like this. It was just this. That's my dramatic way of saying empty. One downside with airliner flying, by the way, is you find ways to entertain yourself. And one of the things I wish we had, but we don't have. Oh, well, actually, we do. What am I saying? We have ACARs. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use ACARs on the one I'm not supposed to use it on. My bad. I don't think we have ACARs, though. Let me see. Hey, it's me. Oh, there it is. I remember I'm in ACARs. But what you could do with ACARs in the real world is you could send messages to each other, and you have like a little printer. I think we have a printer on an A310. Yeah, you have a little printer. Yep, that's what this is. You have a little printer, and stuff could come out of it, and like you could make the paper go in, make the paper go out, and all that stuff. And like you receive all sorts of messages or whatever. And these are messages like, could you change your altitude because you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or something like that. But for us online, if you're depending on what network you're on, you can ACARs other people and like send really, really inappropriate messages to each other and stuff like that. Traffic collision alert system. Good old TCAS. Hey, my TCAS is on. I didn't mess that up today. I thought about it. Probably have run it, like tested and all that, but oh well. Hey, how's it going, man? I'm waving right now. By the way, this little kind of moment immediately makes me flash back. If you want to see something really funny, that's different. That's UFOs. If you really want to see something funny, go on Google and do an image search for Cold War fighter jet intercept pictures. And one of the things crews would do is you have something like a Tupolev 95, and I know Rick could tell us about this, and a Russian, basically, maritime plane. It's actually one of my favorite planes. But what would happen is they come here, and I'd be in an F4J, or, an F4, I can't think of the British one, K, maybe? I always get that wrong. Or M, I think is the British one. And what they would do is they come up here, and the guy in the back seat would, take a Playboy or something and basically hold it up against the windshield, or they'd send something like, Nadi, say hi to Vladimir for me, or something like that. And they basically fly formation with these bombers for long periods of times with, these big signs just sort of sitting out of the back. And like some of them were very inappropriate. And of course, the crews started going back and forth with each other where the Russians would do that and we do that back to them. It's just one of those like really silly, wow, in a moment's notice, you guys might have to kill each other, but you might as well enjoy the, enjoy the whatever they're trying, I guess. It's so fascinating. Like I said, it's always so fascinating. And one of these days, we'll get a combat flight simulator version of this. Excellent, Rick. I also played Mage, but I did not care for that game. I mean, I like Mage. I know that's awful what I was saying about the Cold War here. Rick had made a comment about White Wolf games. But Mage was an interesting game because it was always the GM desperately trying to stop his game from devolving because you'd have a time-traveling mage and they'd just go back in time and identify what caused the accident or the crime and be like, I got it. And it's like, it's just one of those things where, like, magic ruins things, like especially freeform magic, but I've complained about that. I'm not a fantasy person. Just not me. No. That's an awesome name for VOR. I like how BAG is the location, but ESB is the one that we're actually locked onto. Nice touch, nice touch. All right, I'm gonna go do my thing real quickly here. If you change both sides position, I'm gonna be mad. Yep, good, okay. So I always like to make this one longer range and this one usually double. It's just a personal thing. That's BAG. We're gonna cross that line right there. Looks good, looks good. GMT, 36,000 feet. Echo Sierra Bravo. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Like I said, this is not a pain. I found the fuel tank temperature. Somebody remind me to turn these back off. Because I don't remember to do that. Yes. Thank you, Simon. Excellent. Yes, so go check that out. They're very, very entertaining videos. That's referring back to the intercepts here. Like I said, it's the one downside to airliners is you basically get them going and then you gotta kind of do the rest of the work. Now, one of the fun things was at the Air Museum, we had a lot of old airline pilots, former airline pilots. I should be careful there with my word choice, but I'm going to be realistic. None of them are younger than 60 or 70. And it was always kind of fun. Like they'd have like a little meeting and they'd be eating their lunch and they'd be talking about like, you know, like the Ravens or something like that, football team. And of course I come over and I say, hey, I got a question. And they'd be like, yeah, sure. This was a question for Ed or a question for Don or Dave or something. I'd be like, so I was reading this thing in one of the books on one of the airplanes at the museum. It was talking about Iran. Can somebody explain that to me? So then you got this Pan Am airline chief. I forget his name. He's got glasses. Really, really unbelievably smart guy. And he's like, well, I can explain that to you. So like, you know, he sits down, he starts explaining it a little bit. And then everybody at the table who was originally talking about the Ravens does one of these and looks at him. And then he's explaining. And then I'm like, well, could you explain, like, how does this work? He's like, hold on. So then he goes, like, digging, like, you know, into some random filing cabinet in the middle of nowhere, comes back up, slams, not slams, he's a nice guy, drops this lovely Loran C thing with all the different curved lines on it, and basically explains it to the entire group of all these, like, veteran airline people and, you know, GA guys and avionics guys and navigators, you know, how it kind of works. And we're all just, like, sitting there. And meanwhile, our boss, you know, just kind of rolls in and just kind of goes, wait, what? You know, like one of those. And, like, they're engaged in it. So it's like, I just felt kind of bad, but it's like, I'm just, whoa, just got past. I don't know. It's just me being a nerd. I'm fascinated by things I don't know. It's just me. But yeah, so one of these days we'll have a little RAN simulator. We have an updated satellite navigation simulation now that you can get. I saw that. We also have flying the beam for people who want to suffer. Okay, we're getting a little off course here. That's all right. SDO, Laugh-A-Rog, you're killing it. I really got to do some more videos on airliners. People really like those videos. They also like the video of Nuclear Race there, but that's a totally unrelated thing. All right, see, lots of Vampire Above video sightings. No, I didn't live in the 60s. He was made in the 60s. It was slightly insane. Nice. I think one of my favorite tabletop characters, we'll go back on that because I'm rambling because I can. One of my favorite tabletop characters ever, I'm just trying to think, is we had one character for Savage Worlds. And the character was basically the tankiest thing they could possibly tank into Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds, by the way, is a fantastic gaming system if you've not encountered it. If you like D&D, but it takes too long to play for you, go take a look at D&D. I think you'll like it. Or Savage Worlds, rather. And the character was a super duper ultra mega super tank. And it was one of the situations where he basically got routinely exploded, ejected, burnt, cut, poisoned, but somehow he'd survive. And it was one of those where it like almost became an exercise in, we should probably go check on him. He did fall off a cliff. Nah, he probably survived it, you know, like kind of a thing. But it became kind of like this running gag of just like indestructibility. And like anytime there was a fight, yeah, he didn't do as much damage as some of my other guys, but like he could just, he'd be the only one still standing when the fight was over. It was just always one of these really awkward situations where you got to imagine this tank of a wrestler kind of, they just walking around, fixes this guy, goes over here, fixes this guy, goes over here, fixes this guy. Okay, guys, let's continue to the next battle, you know, like kind of a thing. And just like one of my absolute favorites. And then we had a game, Stars Without Number. If you have not played that one and you like the idea of a sandbox space game, it's probably one of the best ones out there. And of course, in that game, we had a space lawyer. Like, I mean, you're sitting there, why would you need a space lawyer? And it was one of those fun things where we just had a character who happens to be a space lawyer. You know, they could argue law, they could really have persuasion skills, conversation skills, get us out of all sorts of trouble when we're doing things we're not supposed to be doing. You know, just little stuff like that. And it was just like the funniest thing because the amount of times where they'd get thrown in some alien jail and she'd be like, well, actually, according to your people's laws, X, Y, and Z, or convincing them to get off on probation. It was just one of those characters where you'd never expect to be like, this is the most memorable character. And then we have a character at our table who we always, like this. Everybody knows like the sniping ninja, basically invisible at really really high damage kind of a ninja character. But if they get hit, they die instantly. So they spend most of the game dead. It's just kind of one of those things. It's a trope, but it's so trope. Glass cannon. That is such a nice looking jet. Lafarog, I'm sneaking up on you, man. My landing is going to be atrocious, by the way. I'm calling it now. That video, by the way, a couple weeks ago on recovering from bounced landings. Oh my gosh. I felt so bad for the airplane. Fear my smooth mouth skills. Now, if this were a propeller-driven airliner, I would have pushed it all the way up into this. We'd probably be up here in the red. Of course, we can't go that fast, but like you know what I mean. And then that helicopter video on Friday. I'm proud of that one. I know that everybody's like, oh, cool, ground effect. But I thought that was a really good video, but that's just me. And then next week we have some pretty good stuff coming in as well. Nothing too crazy because, like, I have 1,100 videos. You got to keep it interesting. So one of the things I was saying earlier, too, is I'm looking in doing some work with some DCS. I'm not interested in making a systems tutorial videos in DCS. That would be a full-time job on top of what's already takes quite a bit of time, kind of a thing like that. So what I wanted to do with DCS is I wanted to do a flying series. Somebody recommended it on a past stream, and I thought that was actually really, really cool because one of the things is those World War II planes are such a handful to land and take off and just get going. But I love that. That's what I like. But then you get to the more modern planes like your F-18s and stuff where it's a project to get going, but it's actually not a project to fly, but they're kind of neat to fly. So I'd love a flying the F-18 video or something and just do a whole video and getting it started, driving, navigating, landing, not blowing people up or anything like that, but just, kind of doing my piece. Somebody thought that was a neat idea. And I'm like, if I have time, I'm definitely going to sit down and do those. Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. My worst landing, I think, ever. Most embarrassing landing is when I bounced it on a 182 when I was trying to come in for a landing with people in the back seats. I bounced it like 3 times, and I'm like, oh, it was so embarrassing. But my worst landing, I think, ever was in the 172. I was coming in for a landing in the summer, and it was really turbulent, like wind shear, like all over the cockpit being ricocheted, turbulent. And I'm lining up at the runway. I get the thing finally settled down, and the plane drops like this. It probably dropped from 6 feet. It just stopped flying and went, bam. So hard, I swear the 2 wheels in the back probably got stretched out, and probably when I recoiled and went back into the air again, it was like, wha-bam. And I'm like, oh, geez. I was like ready to go full power, like fitsy with the throttle, like trying to like fix it. It was such a hard landing. Oh man, I can feel it like in my tailbone. It was so bad. I've had landings that I'm not proud of, but that was my worst landing. My best landing ever was a no flapper. I came in contact with the ground so gently I didn't know I had landed. And I've also done some really, really good landings in the 182 when there's somebody in the back seat because they help, like when you let go of the throttle, the nose comes up automatically. So it's like, oh, this is nice. And it like auto lands. Yeah. No, I like that. The longer planes, I like the longer plane videos, but it's got to be something I know something about so I can chitty chat. I love the Mooney, even though, as somebody pointed out, one of my members, and pointed out, I did mention a couple things I didn't stay conscious with. It's the difference between the real world and the sim, though. Because in the real world, I'm like on hyper, like, I'm like doing this and like doing that and like doing this and spending the entire time going like this. And once in a while, I look over at my wife and just, blow her a kiss or something like that. Like that. That's what I'm like in the real world when I fly. But in the sim, it's like, oh, everything's fine. I don't have to worry. But like, you get out of that mentality and you're trying to play by play, which I know I don't have to, but it's always fun. A really fun moment actually on that thought. One of the things I had done when I was learning to fly is we're coming in for landing, and my flight instructor, Dave, who flies for airlines now, of course, so he's flying me kind of a thing, and we're coming in for a landing, and I forget what it was. It was just like this really, really long approach kind of a thing. Like I forget, it was coming to Hartford, like runway 2. And we had like the whole flaps, and it was taking us forever to get down, like kind of a thing, because like, we had this like straight in from 15 miles out. Like it was such a waste of time. But we're coming in. And then for whatever reason, I went on like YouTube mode All right. We're going to go ahead and reduce speed to about 85 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and get that first notch of flaps in. All right, now first notch. Wait for that. Oh, the nose comes up just a little bit. Let's compensate by an increase in power here. All right. We'll go ahead and now give us just a couple taps of downward trim there. You know, like the whole thing. So I like doing this all the way down. All right, we're about a couple inches off the ground. We're just going to play formation with the ground and we're down. Look at that. We'll let the nose down gently and apply easy braking. And it was one of those where I was doing it, and he just, when we're done, he's like, you just YouTube the hell out of that, you know, kind of a thing like that. And it was like, yeah, I guess I kind of did. But it's just one of those moments where I go, oh, God, I just got meta. O2 Baker. Nice. That sounds like fun. I got to go check that out. I got to look this up. Thanks. I love that. 0 Oscar 2. 0 Oscar 2. Can't type. 0 Oscar 2. Airports. Baker Airport. Here we go. Is that little rinky-dink? Oh, no, that's not the one I thought it was. Look what it's on the border of. Oh, my friend. That is literally right on the border with the military. It isn't an MOA. Yikes. So you can only land to the south, I guess. Fly to the south. Speaking of which, we got to start thinking about landing. Having too much fun. Let's come down to 60. Let's make sure this is a 120. By the way, if you don't have a button on your joystick that lets you do this, put a button on your joystick that does that. It's worth it. Let's see here. That's set. We got to start thinking about coming down. This is the best part. Terrain. We want map mode, 2 degrees down. We want system number 1. We're going to put terrain on ND. Click. We shouldn't get anything right away. It'll catch up to us in a few minutes. And now we got to select our altitude. That's tough, Rick. That is literally right there. For anybody who didn't get to see that cool airport that he's talking about, what I'll do for us real fast, because he brought it up. This is the one that Rick is talking about here. You can see here that this is a Silver North MOA, and man, that's a challenge. No, MOA excludes airspace below 3,000, so that's perfectly fine. But if we actually go play with this, oh my gosh, sorry about that, everybody. Man, that's tight. I like that. We'd have to go see what the local altitude is. Anyway, let's get to going here. 2,000, 1,000 feet. So one of the things I learned from military aircraft is you have to be able to know and operate every control in the airplane blindfolded. That's much more of a military standard than is a civilian standard. But I will say, if you can do that, you're in pretty good shape. But I love the fact that you have the knob with the big rounds, the little rounds, and then the soft knob. So it makes it very easy to figure out which one you're pushing. Come on. I'm calling it now, this landing. It's not going to be great. I'm going to go a little past the 1,000 footers. I'm calling it now. We're a little heavy, so that's probably not going to help. One of these days, I'm going to get an autopilot panel from VKB. I'm just going to be like, fine, pay the money. All right, 1,400, 1,200, 1,001. Delightful. All right, that looks good to me. That's good. We'll get going. Oh, somebody asked the toughest question of all. Toro, that is an excellent question. The question is, do you prefer the Boeing or the Airbus engineering philosophy? Now, I could spend a whole video on that. But for the very, very short version, for the benefit of our listeners here, Boeing basically, the big difference between the two companies. Airbus very much wants to eliminate clutter, and they want to eliminate, not that they want to simplify it. Simplify is the word I want to use. They want to make the experience more simplified and more ergonomic. Like, that's Airbus's big philosophy. So when they did that, of course, they did things like this, where if you look above your head, notice how there are no lights on. If a light turns on, that means you've done something wrong. If the light is off, that means you've done something right, usually. So if I look up here, you'll notice you've got these little indicators. These aren't even buttons. But, if I come over here and I shut this guy off, which I'm not going to, you will notice a big orange light appears to let you know that hasn't happened. Ryanair landing philosophy. I like that. Ryanair, we don't put up with that in the US. So in Airbus airplanes, things tend to be off. Also with controls with Airbuses, they tend to be fly-by-wire. And the reason why that's interesting is because you have a little stick over here on my left. So of course, I fly right-handed. In the real plane, I fly left-handed. And fake plane, I fly right-handed. Go figure. But you have a little stick, and when you tilt it, you're basically telling the airplane what you want to do, and it interprets what you want, and there's no trim involved. Whereas in a Boeing airplane, it's just like a Cessna 172. You know, if I pull back on the stick and my trim isn't right, it's going to be really heavy, and then I can trim the pressure out of the stick, kind of a thing. Also, on Boeing aircraft, you know, you have switches, and there's usually a direction for the switch rather than a button like you get here. So it's a little different philosophically like that. But the question Toro asked is, which one of these did I like better? I, unfortunately, started on Boeing. And when it comes to what is the airplane that I get into and I'm instantly comfortable with, it's going to be a Boeing airplane. And the reason for that is because in the real world, I fly planes that the trim behaves a certain way, the thrust behaves a certain way, everything has a certain feel to it. And you know, when it comes to Boeing aircraft, like it's very intuitive. And we got to start going down in about 2 seconds here. Ready on my mark. Get set. Open descent mode. Here we go. Open descent. There it goes. Whee! Anyway, so with Boeings, it's really important. You know, you have to have good trim technique. You have to have good control technique. You're a lot more involved in the process. The way I always like to describe it to people who are asking which one do you like, again, here I am doing it, is it's akin to automatic transmission versus manual transmission. Of course, I drive an electric car now, so like, it's all funky to me. So anyway, what you do is, you know, for this aircraft, like with the trim, the way you have to set it manually is that would be a Boeing way of doing things, where it's just like a standard transmission where, you know, you got to change gears and you're responsible, and it's something you're always kind of keeping kind of in the back of your head, sort of a deal. Whereas with an Airbus, I don't have to worry about that at all. I just tip the control forward, the plane goes down, I bring the control to the center, it stays that way, kind of a thing, kind of like an automatic. Yes. And it's not, again, I want to make this super duper clear. And again, having talked to a lot of pilots who have flown both incessantly, thousands of hours in both, they will tell you that the best thing in the world would be if they took the cockpit of an Airbus and they mounted it to the front of a Boeing. And the reason for that is sneaky. And this is a 737-320, by the way. It's different with 777s and 87s and 350s and all that. It's because the Airbus has so much more room in the front than a Boeing 737 does. So they like that better. But that's unrelated. But the big thing here is, for me, I like to kind of be responsible for the plane. Fly-by-wire is delightful if I'm trying to like formation fly with somebody or something like that, not having to stress. But I'm so used to doing things myself, it's just difficult for me to do. Yeah, so hopefully that answers that. So, of course, as we all know, PMDG is going to be releasing the 777 in a little bit. And I'm super excited for that, because the 777 was the first pay-aware airplane I ever bought, other than the F-104, sorry. There's CF-104 specifically, which we had over in X-Plane Land, which was absolutely fantastic. Does anybody else think I'm coming in a little hot? I feel like we're coming in kind of steep here. You want to see pain? Look at this. Another thing I'll say, Boeing versus Airbus, is a Boeing, the new ones, the ones with the big screens, from an ergonomic perspective, I like the big screens with normal keyboards. If you've ever seen an Airbus A380, this is all open here, and you actually have a keyboard that you slide out if you need to use it, if you don't want to use the big buttons on the slide. And that's just different. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like it's right there. Like And one other thing. Oh no, I'm good. One other thing that I will say, Airbus versus Boeing, and this is probably the one that kicks me the worst, is the FMS. I'm sorry, I don't like Airbus FMS. I just don't like that. It's a lot of things in here that they get in your way, and it makes it a little frustrating to control. But like I don't know. Boeing to me is more intuitive. That's kind of the big ones. Yes. So the fun thing Junior pointed out there is the 737s, you know, it's just the same airplane over and over again. I agree completely. And of course, you don't want to fly in Maxes. I'm sure you've all seen the news on that. There it is. Love this. This is so cool. Hang on. Let me see if I can show you. Not this way. You got to come up on the right here. Nothing like coming back in from orbit. Oh boy. I've been talking too much. I haven't been paying attention to my primary duty here, which is to actually operate the airplane. Yeah, that's good. Of course, when people ask me what's my favorite airliner, I said that in that 30,000 subscriber special, in case you missed it. The 757. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And the reason I love it is it's a mixture of old and new, number one. It's overpowered. This is always good. And it's the perfect airliner to go far but not be obnoxious. Like the 777, great airliner. Fantastic. Easy to fly. Like you can pull through the autopilot during landing, which is awesome. But it's not as cool as the 7.5. 7.6, it's too big. It's very wide, even though it's very 7.5-like. The 7.3, it's okay. It's like a little scooter. I like it, but it's boring. The 7.2, it's too much work. 707, one of my favorites ever. Unfortunately, we don't have any 707s for MSFFs. Get on that, people. What else am I missing here? The 7... What am I forgetting one? The 4.7 is too big. Looking at you, Codifier. Very easy to fly, by the way. The 787, it's too big. Sorry. When it comes to the Airbus series, though, I can comment on that. This thing's cool, because this is like the 737, but Airbus style. A lot of good things about it. I find the cockpit just a little busier than it needs to be. It's just me. Let's see, the 320, I'm not a fan of the 320. It's one of my least favorite airliners. It's just, there's nothing about it that I enjoy, if that makes sense. The next one would be the 330. Too big. See the trend? 340. Love it. And I love it you can guess why I love it. And it's because instead of having 2 of these, it has 4 of these. I just think it's the most bizarre, weird airplane they ever made. 380, too big. And then I'm missing something. You're going to have to help me out because I cannot think about which Airbus I'm missing. 350. 350 is great, but still kind of big. Today, it looks like we're flying with, I can see the Codifier. I saw SDO, I saw Simon, and I saw Lafflerog a minute ago. Let's see what else we have here. Lafflerog's still there. I think we lost somebody. There's SDO down there. Simon fell off. He's out there somewhere. He might be below me. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's still down there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we had a 5th one originally, but they kind of disappeared. But that's okay. Again, airliners don't make for the most gripping internet vision television. And everybody's coming out to complain about the 340. I like that plane. I really do. The 350 is great also, by the way. They have a really good simulation of that over an X-Plane for those of you who like that. Honestly, X-Plane has other really good airliners. Sorry, Flight Simulator. But they're really good. And they have a great 5.7. They have a great 5.0. They've just a great 3.2. They're all excellent. You know what we need, though, is a 707. Somebody please give us a real 707. Please. And then, of course, there's McDonnell Douglas, which has their own way of making things complicated. That was the 717, as well as the MD-80, 81, 82, and 88. If you haven't flown those, you haven't suffered. And then, of course, I'm ignoring the other types of airliners I like, such as a good company Tupolev and Aleutian, but we don't have any of those really yet. Yes, 1,000 feet, angry engine sounds. I know, but I love it. I don't know. There's only like 40. I'm completely off base there, but there's not a lot of Airbus A340s. All right, let's get ready to land. Here we go. All right, let's do it to it. So it looks like we're going to be taking a big old right turn here. There's a course reversal. There's my top of descent is going to be right there. I'm just going to confirm everything looks okay. All righty then. Let's see here. 350, 320, 331, 327, 2700, 1335. 1,000 feet's fine. If I want to be a little bit more thorough, I'd come up a little bit higher, but I'm not going to. Istanbul was Constantinople. There it is. There's Istanbul. And one of the cool things, by the way, is this whole little bit here are the bridges. If you want to see something amazing, you can get a time-lapse video of someone taking a cruise ship through here and seeing all the bridges that cross over this. And that is the Black Sea. Isn't that so cool? Who is it 57 asked, why are there 2 altimeters? We actually have 3 altimeters. 1, 2, 3. The short version for you, who is it 57, is this is my backup instruments. This is my primary instrument. And this is the co-pilot's instrument. So that's the super short version. But there's actually another altimeter, but that's okay. We can't see it right now. That's okay. But it's interesting. It's interesting. And of course, in the real world, all these 3 altimeters don't agree with each other. You know, I fly airplanes in the real world too, and the 182 has 3 of these, and you can set that to whatever you want to, but it's never the same. And you just go over here and tap, tap, tap with your finger, and it jumps 60 feet. So it's like, well, that's safe. But it's just one of those things about aviation that some people get right, some people are like, kind of getting close. The short version is backup. And the other thing too, and I don't know if I can show this to you. Maybe I can. There's my little temperature port right there. And I have two separate pitot systems on this side. Two separate, I've got tons of sensors on this thing, and they're all over the nose. And there's a nice even split between the two sides. They did a nice job modeling this. But you can see there's a nice even split between the co-pilot side and the pilot side as far as having different sensors so they don't interfere with each other. I do not see the AOA sensor on this thing. I'm just being blind. Oh well. Anyway, so that's the answer to that question. And one of the fun things that you don't know, too, with general aviation planes is their autopilot has different sensors than the primary pilot does. All right, let's get ready. I love these little pop-out lights. My buddy who's trying to get into United right now, one of the cool things that he was telling me, he's got a great video of him flying. It was a Cessna. Not a 340, it was like a 414 or something like that. I can't remember exactly which Cessna it was, but he's got 310. So one of the great videos he has is he puts down the landing lights and the plane goes and actually like loses 10 knots. So like instant speed brakes. Oh, kind of one of those sort of things. I just thought that was always kind of funny. Should say my landing lights are extended, which they are. All right, once they're extended, nope, they should be on. That's good. Check, 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 check. Take off, check, check, chickadee check. Looks good, looks good. Hello, everyone. This is your captain speaking. In just a few minutes, we're going to be arriving at our destination airport of Ataturk, Lima Tango Bravo Alpha, unlike Alpha Bravo that I tried to confuse everyone with earlier. If you have any connecting flights, make sure you take a look at the large boards for arrivals and departures when you first get in. For those of you who are traveling internationally today, the international terminal is going to be off to your right. You're going to follow the signs down. It's the green sign on the right-hand side. For those of you who this is your terminus, the baggage place is going to be up and down the elevator on your left. Make sure you stop by the Turkish Cinnabon and get some of our coffee if you want to be awake for the next 3 months. Thank you. All right, Wisney, and then we're going to be taking the left turn. Terrain. I did. All right, that looks good to me. It's been a fun flight. I've enjoyed this. I miss flying things like this. I don't fly these very often. Like, this has been nice. All right, terrain. All right, PDS. We're a little tiny bit high, but as soon as we take this corner, we're going to slow down. Junior's clapping. Look at this airport here. So this is the airport I was originally going to land on. This is runway 5. Like, see how it looks pretty long? This is the one we're landing on. That's going to be fun. Command. Oh, I'm not done getting set up here. Jeez, I'm being naughty here. Checklist. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all the online people. All right, here we go. So let's see here. Landing today. Minimums. Okay, so I drag it and I let go. I need to be able to read. Okay, fine, be that way. All right, so sign set, briefing confirmed. Altimeters both set, minimums set, ignition as required, landing elevation set, landing gear down, required, auto required. Okay, cool. All right. We have a decision height, not a decision altitude today. We're supposed to set it on both sides, is what it said. So we'll make sure that's all set. Hey, Lafarog. Looks good to me. Decision height is checked. Altimeter is cross-checked. I got 4820. Set, signs good. Continuous ignition not required. Let's see here. Landing gear, minimums, ECAM status is checked. Altimeter is checked. Minimum set ignition is required. Landing elevation already set. Landing gear is going to be next. All right. Pausing at landing gear. So cool. I love this part. I just get excited. I could just land airliners all day. I'm so bad at it, but I could just do it all day. It's just so much fun. I love how it brings up the engine and the air conditioning page here. We are a little bit lighter than when we took off. Holy smokes. What do we got right now? Remember we took off at 252 or 241 right now. We put 10 tons of pollution into the air on our ride here. Also, our center of gravity shifted slightly. Yeah, 20,000 pounds. We're pretty heavy. This is the fun part. Yep, I'm already at minimum range. Constraint mode on. And we're going to go ahead and do our course reversal, and we're going to get ready for landing. $140, got it. I love it when air traffic control calls you and says, keep speed up. You're like, oh God. All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. Seat flat swap set. Ooh, nope. Auto brake set. Anti-skid checked. Flaps inspect. All set. All right, I'm just going to confirm that that's all set. Anti-skid is on. We have medium brake force. We are set with that. Speed brakes are armed. Flaps are set correctly. Landing gear is in the down position. We are set. Landing lights are set. This is the best part of flying airliners. Gotta give the plane enough time to slow down. You know what one of the fun things is nobody gets to see, but when I do these videos, everybody's all queued up on the same ILS. Love it. All right. Got my hands ready. Crack the back. Relax. It's the fun parts. Not really. I'm actually not a fan of this. So bad at landing. Look at how tiny this runway is. Whoopsies. So this is one of those airline situations where you really, really want to land on the numbers. Does it feel like I'm not moving? We're moving. Don't worry. One of the things I really like about some of the, like the 7.3 is that it's a little bar here to tell you where your throttle actually is, but this one does not. So you have to kind of do this the kind of hard way. By the way, right-click Alt. Terrain, terrain. Did everybody just see that? Like the entire city just disappeared. 140. Hello? Come in. Yeah, I'll just put up with it for the last couple feet. I know. Okay, let's do it. This is one of those things that, if you know... That was a little slow. I didn't like that. Yeah, I told you I was going to overshoot it.
10, 5.
Okay, I did not need to hit it that hard. All right, that's enough. That's enough. We're here. Not going to win any awards for that one, that's for sure. I love the fact that they have the high-speed turnout here. No cheating. Oh, well. All right, we're here. We made it. Woo, what a flight. What a flight. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry, everybody. That was a little hard. I mean, it was good enough, but like, I was firm, a little firm. The problem was I need a button on my throttle that kills the automatic throttle. The reason that would have been really, really helpful is because with the automatic throttle to kill there, I would have had the ability to basically come in a little bit softer, but can't win them all, as they say. I like how there's clearly the shape of an airplane ready to go here. All right, I'll take that then. Notice I never got my $10. I have a theory as to who actually posted that. They'll make fun of me on Monday, don't worry. We're here. Wonderful. If you'd like to join us for a picture, come on right behind us, and we'll get that picture in. All right. Let's go shut that. We need that still on, technically. Shut those off. Shut those off. Shut those off. That looks pretty good to me. I like that. Since this is just such a frustrating experience. Click, click. We need that in a minute. All right. If you like the picture, come on by. I'm pretty confident I disarmed those. Welcome to Turkey. Actually, well, we've been in Turkey, but that's a great picture. Fantastic. If anybody, of course, has any questions, comments, things you'd like to see in future videos, feel free to go ahead and do it. This would be a great time to go toss that in there. I like this one. This is delayed takeoff because my brakes are so down hot. Whoopsies. Oh, geez, look at how hot they are. Number 4 there is basically on fire. Actually, I wonder if you actually get smoke off the brakes. No brakes, no brakes. All right, folks, if anybody has any questions or, like I said, things you'd like to check out in the future, this would be a great time to throw that out. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of go through the shutdown procedure. I'm going to kind of call it there. Let's see here. That should be on automatically. That's good to me. We're going to make sure this is turned on, and we're going to go ahead and pull our switches here. There it goes. Wow, it was an hour flight. Nice. All right. I think the big thing with the 330 is it was that transition between auto throttle and not auto throttle. It just killed me. That like 15 knots I lost when I was trying to find the new thrust, it just got me. I would have been a much, much, much softer landing otherwise. But not bad, not bad. You did see me turn that on, right? You did see me do that, right? Oh, I didn't wait for it to boot up all the way. Oh, well. Other than that, hopefully everybody enjoyed our little live stream today. It's been a fun little ride. It's great to go fly these airplanes once in a while. It's a little different. I was tempted to do it in the AN225, but that would have been quite a project. But other than that, enjoy, and we'll see you all again soon.